Rewriting your inner script, how your narrative shapes your reality. Welcome to a conversation that might just change the way you see yourself forever. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Sharon Robustelli, whose pioneering work on internal narratives has transformed countless lives across corporate America. Sharon isn't just a thought leader, she's a revolution in human form. Her methodologies for helping Black professionals recognize and rewrite their limiting beliefs have created seismic shifts in boardrooms and beyond. Her work doesn't just change careers, it heals generations of inherited doubt. Have you ever noticed that voice in your head? The one that whispers, "You're not ready for this promotion," or "They'll never take your ideas seriously." So, that voice isn't just background noise, it's the architect of your reality. The stories we tell ourselves are more than just thoughts passing through our minds. They're the invisible hands shaping every decision we make, every opportunity we pursue or don't pursue. And for Black women navigating spaces that weren't designed with us in mind, these narratives carry extra weight. I remember sitting with Sharon as she explained this concept, her words resonating with such clarity. Your internal narrative directly shapes your reality and can either limit or unleash your power. Let that sink in for a moment. The lens through which you view your potential isn't neutral. It's been crafted by experiences, by messages absorbed over decades, by subtle biases internalized without your conscious permission. But here's where it gets interesting and where Sharon's brilliance truly shines. These narratives aren't fixed, they are not permanent fixtures of your psyche. They can be identified, challenged, and completely transformed. Consider the story of a Black woman executive at a Fortune 50 company whose career had mysteriously plateaued despite consistently stellar performance reviews. On paper, she was excelling. In reality, she was drowning in imposter syndrome, fueled by years of navigating predominantly white male environments where her belonging was subtly but consistently questioned. In meetings, she overprepared but rarely spoke first. She had brilliant ideas but hesitated to voice them, fearing dismissal. The most revealing part, when she finally engaged in coaching focused on identifying her internalized negative narratives, she realized something profound. The voice saying, "I don't belong here," wasn't just reflecting external bias, it had become her own belief. Through daily positive self talk exercises and mindfulness techniques, she began challenging this narrative. I belong in this room. My perspective is valuable. My voice deserves to be heard. Simple affirmations, repeated with intention. Within a year, something shifted, not just in how she felt, but in tangible outcomes. She advocated for herself during salary negotiations, something she'd never done before, and received both a promotion and a substantial pay raise. But perhaps more significantly, she launched an affinity group for Black professionals within her company, stepping into leadership beyond her official role. Her transformation inspired other women across the organization to confront their own limiting narratives. One voice of change created a chorus. As Sharon emphasized, you can actively challenge and transform limiting beliefs by doing inner work. This isn't just positive thinking, it's strategic psychological intervention. It's recognizing patterns, questioning their origins, and deliberately creating new neural pathways that support rather than sabotage your growth. But let's be honest, this work isn't always comfortable. In fact, it rarely is. Take the founder from Atlanta's startup ecosystem who recognized that his snap judgments during high stress pitches were undermining his team's morale. His quick emotional reactions, rooted in childhood experiences where mistakes were harshly punished, created tension among colleagues who felt undervalued and anxious. Through leadership training, He learned about the ladder of inference model and began practicing something revolutionary in its simplicity, pausing before responding when emotionally triggered during meetings. That pause, that tiny moment of space between stimulus and response, changed everything. Over several months, he built greater psychological safety on his team. Communication improved as he modeled vulnerability about working through the old stories driving his reactions. His tendency toward perfectionism had masked deep seated fears about failure instilled early on, a realization made possible by journaling after difficult interactions with staffers. The startup retained key talent who had previously considered leaving due to workplace stress. Employee engagement scores rose significantly. Perhaps most powerfully, this founder became an advocate for mental health awareness among other Black tech entrepreneurs, extending the impact of his personal work into community transformation. As Sharon so eloquently put it, stepping into your power is a continual process of self reflection, compassion, and intentional action. This journey requires both courage to face uncomfortable truths about yourself and commitment to creating new narratives that align with your values and goals. I'm reminded of Maya Angelou's powerful words. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. This is the essence of narrative work, refusing to be reduced by the stories that don't serve you. Consider our third example, a successful attorney experiencing chronic shame despite impressive legal victories. His persistent belief that any mistake would confirm deep unworthiness led him toward burnout, even as peers saw him as highly accomplished. Working with a therapist using compassionate inquiry techniques, he began surfacing old messages. You'll never be good enough. He gradually replaced these thoughts with affirmations reflecting present day realities rather than inherited pain points. A pivotal moment came when preparing closing arguments under intense scrutiny triggered flashbacks, not just nerves, but echoes from childhood criticism now recognized as separate from current capability. The ability to distinguish between past wounds and present reality became his superpower. The attorney reported reduced anxiety at work and volunteered as a mentor for young lawyers facing similar struggles around belongingness in elite legal circles. Holding space for himself emotionally became its own milestone and allowed him greater empathy toward others, navigating professional pressure while healing unseen wounds. His story has been used by organizations supporting Black professionals recovering from trauma induced workplace barriers. Another example of how personal transformation creates ripples far beyond the individual. When I asked Sharon what she wanted listeners to do differently after hearing these insights, her answer was beautifully practical. She wants us, especially Black professionals, to pause regularly throughout our day when we notice familiar feelings like doubt or hesitation creeping up, to ask ourselves whose voice is really speaking. Is it ours or something inherited? Then consciously choose one empowering statement each time those old scripts try taking over. I deserve this seat. My perspective matters. My experience is valuable. I'm qualified. I am enough. Simple statements that, when repeated with intention, can gradually rewrite neural pathways and transform how we show up in the world. As Sharon shared during our conversation, sometimes the most revolutionary act is believing in yourself when everything and everyone around you suggests you shouldn't. This work isn't just about individual success, though that certainly matters. It's about collective liberation. When one of us breaks free from limiting narratives, we create possibility models for others. We expand what's imaginable. We shift the collective consciousness. For Black women navigating spaces where we're often handed pink slips while underperforming counterparts receive golden parachutes. This narrative work becomes not just personally empowering, but politically necessary. Sharon wants you to feel seen, as if someone finally put words around what you've quietly carried inside all these years. But she also wants you energized, knowing that change is possible right now with small shifts every day. The journey of rewriting your inner script isn't linear. There will be days when old narratives resurface with surprising strength. There will be environments that seem determined to reinforce limiting beliefs. There will be setbacks and moments of doubt. But as Sharon reminded me, with a warmth that felt like sunshine, the work isn't about perfection, it's about practice. Practice noticing, practice questioning, practice choosing different thoughts, practice self compassion when you struggle, practice celebration when you succeed. I stand before you today not just as a messenger of Sharon's wisdom, but as someone challenging you to revolution, a revolution that begins in the quiet chambers of your own mind. This isn't abstract theory. This is survival. This is thriving. This is reclaiming the narrative that was never meant to be written by anyone but you. I challenge you today. Identify one story you tell yourself that limits your greatness. Write it down, then tear it apart. Question its origins, challenge its authority, and then this is the crucial part, replace it with a truth that serves your highest potential. Do this not just for yourself, but for everyone watching you, learning from you, drawing courage from your courage. Your liberation creates possibility for others still trapped in narratives not of their making. The world doesn't just need your talent or your skills, it needs your authentic voice, unburdened by inherited doubt. It needs your full presence, not diminished by someone else's limited imagination of who you could be. Your narrative is not fixed, your story is not finished. And the pen, the magnificent, powerful pen that writes the next chapter, that pen is in your hand. What will you write?